The purpose of our meeting this evening is the Flood Victims Committee just wanted to provide an update to the villagers with respect to where we're at now in our endeavors. And also we're looking for input from folks here as to how we go forward, our strategies insofar as getting just compensation for our losses as a result of this most recent flood. So I have a few remarks, and then I think maybe we have a couple of other speakers that want to come up. I gotta look at my cheat notes here. As you all know, the flood mitigation study continues. This group was put together. We have some representation from our municipality. We have representatives from our committee as well on there. They're doing really, really good work. This is important work. We've done a lot of these studies in the past. We are updating them with respect to new figures and whatnot, new costing. That work must continue. It's very important for us all. We anxiously await that report on August the 30th and the recommendations that will be contained therein. We certainly think it's necessary, there was an article in the paper yesterday. I had one too. Maybe you saw mine, I'm not sure. But it's a big but, as I said then. We've said consistently from day one that we need relocation in this municipality now, given the high floodwaters and the fact that powers that be, MB Power, etc., claim that they have absolutely no control over the river. And if that's the case, we cannot stay on the river's edge and continue to be flooded time and time and time again. And so while we are very supportive of the committee's work, at the same time, we feel that we should be relocated now. It should have been happened months ago, but it needs to happen. It's a solution that we all know works because we've done it before, and all of those folks are 100% safe and sound in their homes. Their homes are worth much more money than they ever were before. They pay more property taxes. They have equities in their home. The neighbors that were left behind are sitting here waiting and worrying and see their equity in their homes and business constantly washed away. That's just no good. We want relocation. We want relocation now. That message has been consistent from day one. It continues. And I think we're all clear on that. I think our mayor and council, likewise, have been very clear on that from day one. On March 26, our premier stated that homes will need to be relocated in our municipality. This is on the CBC news feed. You can look it up on the internet if you choose. Apparently, bureaucrats got at him very shortly thereafter, because a very short time later on CJ radio, he was quoted as saying that relocation should be the last option. Well, we wanted the first option. It was the first option back then, and it should be the first option today, not the last option. Anyway, again, that message is consistent from day one. And as always, we will continue to lobby the province, MB Power, and whoever else has got a checkbook for fair compensation for the losses that we all incurred in our homes and in our businesses as a result of this flood. We're very appreciative of the Disaster Financial Assistance Program. It's a great first responder. It's there immediately as a state of emergency is declared, but the fact of the matter is it's not made for our particular circumstance. There's too many provisos in there that excluded so many of us from claims that were justifiably made. And, every day we find out new reasons why claims were denied. It's just madness. It's ridiculous. We were all flooded by the same waters. We all experienced the same devastation. We all should be treated equally. That's not rocket science. That's just good, social contact. It's the way things should be. So we're going to continue to lobby for additional compensation for our losses, and we want those folks who were just turned down flat. We want compensation for them too. That's only fair. We've been consistent on that from day one as well. And the third request that we made to our Premier from the very first time that we met with the Premier is that we wanted the Premier to recognize that Perth-Andover is subject to systemic flooding. It happens time and time again. It will continue to happen. MB Power consistently says they have no control over the river. That being the case, then our flooding must be systemic. It's built in. We need that fact recognized. We need our Premier to acknowledge that. And then we can fix the problem. Because if we are not ready to admit that we have a problem, how can we possibly fix it? And really, that brings me to what I think is the crux of this whole issue. First of all, I have a little prop. I have a hat here that Kendall Nissen, who you all know, runs a wonderful market which will soon be open again. Kendall will be so happy when that happens. Thank you very much. I got to get shorter. Here we go. All right. But as we all know, Kendall also is an antique dealer. And he has this wonderful hat that was passed out in April of 1986 by MB Power. And it was Hydro's largest generation month ever. April 1986. I don't think they handed any of these hats out in April 1987. Now they may have, but I don't think so. Anyway, it's a wonderful hat. No, Bob, I'm not putting it on. Anyway, as we all know, MB Power has consistently denied any responsibility for the flooding that we have here. Just so you all know, on May 29th, in my capacity as chairman of this Flood Victims Committee, I wrote a letter to Gaetan Thomas, who is the president and chief executive officer of MB Power. And I was requesting some information on the under the Right to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. We call it Right to Information Act. I requested 5 specific things related to the flooding here in Perth-Andover that MB Power might have. We're going to grab my letter. And I got a response on Tuesday. When I arrived home from work, Pam said, hey, we got a big package here, and here it is. I had earlier, about 3 weeks ago or a month ago, I had received an interim reply that basically said it's going to take a little longer than normal because of the sheer volume of information that I had requested. So I was really expecting like a percolator van to kind of back up to my yard and dump this huge amount of information off. It's rather disappointing, actually. But anyway, I made 5 specific requests. The first request was I just wanted information that they would have on file concerning our most recent flood in March 23rd, 2012, and relating to water levels and the ice flows on the river and the Topic River and all of that stuff. Well, I got in response to that about 20 or 25 sheets full of charts showing the water output here and there at different hours and all of that flow information. We haven't analyzed all that yet, but anyway, we got that. And then second, I wanted a report on what did they do to manage this ice flow during this spring runoff. And I got a package of about 10 little notes that you would have like on a sticky note that, you know, Bob and Carol went and talked to Fred and he opened the dam at 1 o'clock and then somebody else closed a little later, etc., etc. Hadn't got all the way through that either, but that's fine. But the real interesting part was the response that I received to my requests, numbers 3, 4, and 5. I just want to read you the requests. I'll be brief. Basically, I wanted any and all information, any internal reports, memos, or correspondence since 1955, when the dam was constructed, that refer in any way to the impact that the construction of that dam would have on the St. John River and the communities above the dam. That was question 3. Request number 4 was any reports or memos since 1955 that indicate that the construction of the dam might have a negative consequence for communities lying above the dam, and particularly Perth-Andover. And number 5 was those same reports and correspondence that refer to any possible arrangements that MB Power has ever considered with respect to paying compensation for loss of use of property as a result of the construction of the head pump. I thought those were reasonable requests, and the type of information that we might want to know as a flood victims committee and as citizens in general. The response I got, and I'll read this to you, 1 and 2 are attached, blah, blah. And after an extensive search of our records, McPhail was unable to find any documents that respond to questions 3, 4, and 5. So, I find that a little hard to believe, but then again, maybe McPhail are way ahead of the curve and they're now a paperless office, so they don't have any memos or whatever. Or maybe they stored them in my basement and they all got washed away with all of my documents during the flood, or maybe it was over at Mark's office and they got wasted away. Or maybe, you know, over a 55-year period, no one in the corporation has written a memo about the Beechwood Dam. Like maybe they built the dam down there and didn't bother to tell senior management. There is not a memo, apparently, in the file that relates to the construction of the dam, the rising head pond, or any impact that it might have on our municipality. Like, this is unbelievable. It's an insult. There is a provision to appeal this response in the legislation, and rest assured, we will pursue with that, because we want some information. I mean, it's a valid request. And to say there is none is, well, it's totally unacceptable. And is it any wonder we keep getting flooded? Apparently they don't even know down in Fredericton that we got a dam up here, because no one's written a memo about it in 55 years. Like, it's unbelievable. Anyway, folks, look, enough is enough of this stuff. We've got to keep the pressure on. This is our community. These are our homes. These are our businesses. It's our equity. It's our families. It's our community. We need to claim that back. And we just can't stop on this. A little bit of compensation that most folks have received to date is clearly not enough. We have an issue here. The issue is not going away. And as a committee, and this is one of the main reasons we have this meeting tonight, is that we want your help. We need your talents. We need your skills. We need your energy. We need your participation in our committee. We want you to help us with respect to public relations and media and stuff, because quite frankly, we have 7 or 8 people involved there now who have all given a whole lot of time. But it's a huge task, and we just have to keep it going, because there's no question that somebody flips a switch and this is all resolved overnight. That is not going to happen. We all know that. We need to work together to make sure that we get used properly in this whole. That mitigation study, that's coming out on August 30th. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of recommendations in there. They're looking at everything. They've been in town. There's been a lot of work done on the river, doing different measurements on the river. They're costing out a lot of alternatives. All of that stuff is very, very important. You know, we're going to see, no doubt, going to see a lot of the recommendations that we've seen in past studies. But those recommendations will be there. We've asked the Premier to act on those immediately. We need to keep that pressure on as well, for all of our sake. Many of these recommendations that they might come up with in this study, as we all know, would take years to implement some of those. It's not like it's going to happen in 2 months. It might be this year, some might be next year, the year after, some could be 4 or 5 years down the road, even if there is a will to do them. And we have no guarantees yet of that. But so we need our voices heard there, and thank the people here who are among us that are working on that committee on our behalf. It's very important that we continue to do that. But really, there is one solution we could do today, and I'm just going to say this one more time, and that's relocation. We know how to do this. We've got the guidebook all made up. We just need somebody to give us the authority and give us the money to do that, and we can get a lot of homes relocated. We've shot elevations of every home and business in the municipality. We can use that as a basis to decide who goes first. So we encourage our government to get on with that relocation. That's been a consistent message from day one. We sit here and wait. We do so at our peril. And we need action, and we need action now. And really, that's all I got to say.